hit record. There's Susan. I'm not always great at the share screen part, so hopefully that goes well. I just want to say hi and thank you. Welcome. I'm excited about this trip. I have been to Greece before, but I haven't been to the Ionian Islands, so that's one reason why I chose those. I've sent clients, and they're really beautiful. One of the differences between them and some of the other islands is that it's greener. Like Santorini and Mykonos are actually really dry. Um, and then also, and the water is really green and pretty. Um, and then, of course, we will be going to Athens because if you go to Greece, I think everybody wants to see the Acropolis and have time there. And then I added, so I also just didn't want us to be rushed because it takes a bit to get in between islands. And so I didn't want it to be, we get there, we have one day there, and we leave the next. So the idea was kind of one day in Athens, which I kind of feel is all you need. Uh, and then 3 days in Kefalonia and 3 days in Zakynthos. So I think what I'll do is go through the itinerary. We only have 40 minutes, and as I've seen, this Zoom will cut me off. So I want to have time for questions at the end. Um, so let me do my share screen where what I'm going to do is just go into I'm on my website, so you can follow along, but hopefully this should. Can you see my screen now that shows upcoming trips?
Yep.
Great. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to click on the detailed itinerary. This is the Wanderlust Women's site, and just kind of go through this. So the air is not included as part of the package. I think you all know that. I just realized I still have Ireland behind me. I should have changed that to Greece. um, but I did spend some time figuring out the best flights. You can book whatever you want. There's a lot of room on the arrival day to arrive a different time. We don't have anything scheduled that day, but there's an optional food tour that night. That part wasn't as tricky. The return was tricky, where if we want to leave the same day the trip ends, you need an afternoon flight, and we have to fly from Zakynthos to Athens, and that just meant 3 o'clock or later is when you would have to leave Athens, and that's why I kind of came down to these American flights. And they wouldn't let me do a group, mostly because there's one segment on JetBlue. So if you're really wanting to do a different airline, or you've got points or credit or something, you may end up with a overnight that last night in Athens, because you can get in later the first day, but you can't really leave any earlier. So just keep that in mind if you. I know some people are actually planning extensions, or I think two people are meeting their husbands and doing some other things. So that gives you more flexibility. And then uh, we, if for everyone who is arriving on that flight, or by that time, then transfers are included. You'll be transferred to the Athens hotel. We're staying at the Electra Athens. It's centrally located. I've had clients there before. And then, like I said, that night, it's either some people are going to be jet lagged and just want to go back to the hotel and sleep. But if you want to go out, the food tour is a good way to both be out and in the neighborhood and kind of seeing things and getting a little walking tour and dinner. So that's an option. And I did it on the early end at 4. That way it's from 4 to 7. And then if we want to go back and conk, we can. I always think it's good. I mean, I'm going to Africa in a couple days, and my goal is always to sleep a bit on the plane, even though none of us sleep well on planes. Stay up when you get there, and then, make it to nighttime before you go to bed. So this is kind of a good way to fill that. And then the next day, we will have a tour of the Acropolis. So we'll probably have the hotel hold our bags, go do the tour, and then go back to the hotel because we're going to be flying actually, to Kefalonia. Yeah. So that's included, and it's 4 hours. It includes the guide, obviously walking through the Acropolis, and all of that. So we'll be doing that the second day. And then we will have transfers included to the airport, and we're flying to Kefalonia, and then transfers to the hotel where we're staying at the Electra Kefalonia. So that night is kind of on our own. We're near enough to other restaurants that you can get to, and the hotel has one as well. So the next day we have an included tour, which takes us around kind of the highlights of the island. We go to the monastery, we go wine tasting, we go down into the Joggerati Cave, and then we go to the Messalini Lake, which is the cave of the nymphs, and go on a boat ride around it, and have a little time in the town, and then end up on a beach. So full day, lots of things to see. This picture is one of the reasons I wanted to go there. The water is just beautiful. And then that evening is on our own. And then the next day, I left it as an open day because if people want beach time, shop time, just hang out at the hotel, they can have it. And then otherwise, I put two options. I thought people would choose one or the other, and pretty much everybody's choosing both. But that's true to form. I found that's what usually happens on these trips. Because why miss anything? So the first one, and we just did this in Ireland, we did e-bikes. I've done e-bikes probably, I don't know, probably at least half a dozen places around the world. But I think for everyone in Ireland, it was their first time. So if you haven't done it before, don't be nervous. They're pretty easy. They usually take their time showing you how to do it. Because most people were signing up for it, I ended up doing it two groups. So if everybody wants to do it, they can. And I think we have it so that the groups are leaving half an hour apart. Like one group will be 9 and the other is 9:30. Um, the price is on there, $85. And one thing to know is that the transportation to the optional tours isn't included. So we'll figure that out with the hotel. I don't think it'll be hard to get taxis that can put, four people, or if it's a van, six people in it. But just be aware of that. They take the euro in Greece, if you didn't know that. And so this will include getting more of the countryside in, and then also, active bicycling, not just sightseeing. And so that is, I can't try to remember. I think I'm almost sure it includes lunch. To look at that more closely. Um, and then that evening, we have an option again for a food tour. Just again, another way to get out. It's kind of a fun way to explore and to have dinner. So that's another option. And it's just about 15 minutes away, so not too hard to get to, and then see another part of the island. And then the next day we check out from Kefalonia. We'll have some time if you still wanted to go to the beach or go into the town, because we don't transfer until 2 o'clock. But the hotel can hold your bags. And then we will all transfer to the Kefalonia port, and we take the ferry to Zakynthos. Um, this ferry is two ferries actually, so it'll take up, a chunk of our afternoon. It leaves at 3 and it gets in at 6:30. Ferries in Greece are kind of an interesting experience. I believe I have this booked in business class, which just means we'll have a little more space, and I think there's like a little lounge. But everybody gets off and on the same way if you've never done it before. The boat pulls up and the back of the boat goes down, and cars are going on and people are going on, and you're pulling your own luggage on and find a place for your luggage, and then everybody's heading up the same stairs. So it's just a little chaotic. But then once we were on the boat, it's a nice experience. So when we get to Kefalonia, we will transfer to the hotel, dinner, time on our own. Um, just a side note, this is the biggest group I've taken. I try to keep them small, and this one was very popular, so I have 20 people. But it'll make things like dinner and stuff interesting because I don't assume we can all descend on the same restaurant at the same time. So before we go, I'm going to spend a little time figuring that out, and where I can, I may make some reservations. I like people to have an opportunity, and it kind of happened naturally in Iceland. If you wanted to be in smaller groups and figure out what you wanted to do. It all worked, but it's also kind of nice to have a place that you can, especially the night we arrive, that you can go for dinner. So I will spend a little time on that. And so that evening, like I said, is on our own. They run a shuttle to the Zante town that is close to traffic in the evening, so it's easy to walk around and shop and find restaurants. And then the next day, we again have an island tour. It Scroll down to the pictures. There's a famous beach called Shipwreck Beach, and you can't go onto the beach anymore, but we will go to it and take pictures from the boat. And then they'll take us to another place where we can snorkel and swim. And then half the tour is on the boat, and then the other half is in cars on the island, where they take us to some of the highlights of the island to see that. And then that's a full day tour, 7 hours, and includes in a local restaurant. And that evening again on our own, but very easy to get to Zaki. And then Zonti, that's the name of the town. And the next day is another day that I left open. So if you wanted to hang out at the hotel, go to a beach, have a day on your own, you can. Or I found a nearby beach club that had all kinds of activities. So this again would be on our own, but I contacted them and they pick us up, so that's nice. The transportation is included. It's like a few blocks where we would meet them from our hotel. And then they've got all kinds of things. They've got banana boat and water skiing and canoes and paragliding, snorkel and diving if you're licensed. And so I think Betsy just got licensed actually. Um, that'll be a fun day. Optional, but whether you wanted to do exciting things or just hang out on the beach. They have a beach club, food, drinks. So I think that will be fun. The next day, let me see if this is somebody trying to get in. No, it's my son. Um, so the next day is the last day, and we all fly back to Athens. So for those who are ending the tour and just doing the 7 days, that is when they would leave. The flight is included to Athens. All the inter-island flights, which are two plus that ferry, are all included as part of the main package. But then you would have your international air, and this is again where I'm suggesting these American slash JetBlue flights because they leave late enough. But for the rest of us that are continuing on, because we'll be in the airport for a couple hours before we leave, that is our flight there. I booked us in the airport lounge so that we have a couple hours to hang out, have something to eat and drink, and then we will catch our flight to Mykonos at 4:30 and arrive at 5:10. So in time to get to our hotel and have dinner and go out for the night. I'm excited about our hotels in Mykonos and Santorini. They're both 5 star. They're both on the beach or near the beach, in a good area for walking around and getting to things. So I think this is going to be really nice. And the next day, I have a half day tour for us included, just so that we see the highlights of Mykonos. Um, that's what's on the description there. And that afternoon is free time, and the next day we ferry from Mykonos to Santorini. So we've got the transfers included. We will go on the ferry. We'll be in Santorini by 2:45. Again, I'm excited about this hotel. It's very nice. And then I'm really excited about this. It's I wouldn't say it's a 3 to 3.5 hour hike. So it is challenging in a sense just because it's long, but it's not challenging in that it's, really difficult. I love to hike. And this is called the Caldera, and it's a hike along the Caldera, starting in Fira and ending in Ia, where you're seeing, these buildings. And the other thing I liked about it is as pretty and nice as Santorini is. Uh, you see, that's it. It's a lot of like shops and restaurants in the Fira and Ia part, and trying to figure out how to close this. They Sorry, how do I get this closed? I think there we go. Everybody's Zoom pictures were over my close button. When I did this hike, you're seeing more the nature of the island. You're seeing the flowers and the rocks and the stunning views over the water. And then you get to one part that is a little steep, and you have an option to take donkeys. I want to say it was like 10 euros, which of course I wanted to take the donkey, and you ride donkeys for a little while. And it's kind of a nice sense of accomplishment to when you get to the end. It does include the transportation to get us back to the other side, and it's timed kind of for the sunset. So I think that'll be really nice. So we're going to do that our first, and it's guided as well. We'll do that our first evening for those who want to. It's optional. And then oops, did I skip something? That's the Caldera hike. Oh yeah, the next day we have an included half-day tour of Santorini where we will see the highlights and we'll go to a winery uh, and um, and kind of see all of the main things there are to see. We have our afternoon free for beach or exploring or shopping. And the next day we fly, which is included, back to Athens. And I basically have put the same flights in because, again, we would need those afternoon flights. So that's my suggestion, unless you're planning on extending your trip or overnighting in Athens. So let me see if I have an easy way to look at this. Just to talk about what's included. As you know, the international air is not included, but the flights, all the inner island flights and the ferries are included. All the breakfasts are included. I think there's at least two, if not three, tours that include lunch and the obviously the hotels. All the tours that say included are the four optional things on the main tour would be the that have additional costs would be the Athens food tour, the Kefalonia e-bike tour, and the Kefalonia food tour. And then if you're doing the extension, the Caldera hike. Those are the four optional things. And then lunches and dinners and insurance. Those are the other expenses. And when you go to the booking tab, the price for insurance is on there. Um, it is required. If you, I put the price if you have air or not have air, because if you're using miles or you don't care that you'll just end up with a credit on American, you don't have to insure the air. But it is, or you're doing your own air. Um, Although even if you're doing your own air, I can include the cost of it in this, but it's basically $90 more to include the air. So I think it's worth it because if you did have to cancel, for like for it's basically medical reason, but that does include immediate family. So if something went on with your parents or your kids that would keep you from traveling, then you would be able to get a refund. And it does cover getting COVID, which unfortunately is still, one of those probable things that could happen. uh I also should probably mention that we only have 5 spots left and I'm out of singles. So it's if I have two more singles, I think there's a way I can finagle it. But so talk to me if you're someone that really wants to go but needs a single. But yeah, there's only 5 spots left. So this went fast. I thought it probably would. So yeah, if you know anyone on the fence or you're on the fence, we should get that booked. So, I would like to turn this over to questions. Anybody?
Kelly, one more time. Can you hear me? I've had trouble with
Yes.
my Zoom recently. This is Regina.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Regina.
Hi guys. Hey Rumi. Um, the flying back, and I'm
Uh-huh.
just looking while you've got your window open, I'm looking at mine. So I'm not doing the extension. So the day I'm flying back is a Saturday.
Oh, you're asking about the air dates. Okay, so
Yeah.
without the extension, was that the question?
Yeah. So without the extension, I'm flying back on a Saturday.
Sunday. No, you would fly out the 23rd, arrive the 24th, and the trip goes to October 1st, which is a Sunday. So the air dates are Saturday to Sunday.
Saturday to Sunday. So, um, and you're saying the only way back is on American Airlines to get back into
Get back the
California.
same day, and you can't depart before 3. Yes. I think there was a middle of the night, like 1 or 3 or the morning or something, Turkish air flight through Istanbul. But these flights get back the same day they leave. So, well, sort of. They get back at 1 in the morning. But if you really needed to be at work Monday, you could.
But United doesn't.
No, trust me, that's my preferred, and I could not make it work. You would have to overnight in Athens, and then you could, which I probably will do something like that because I don't want to give up my status. But
Overnight in Athens and come back Monday, you're saying?
yep,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I ended up doing that for the Ireland trip. I went through London and on the way back I spent a couple days because there were crappy flights to Ireland on United too, but that's what I wanted to do. Anybody else?
I had a question on Athens. So after that tour,
Uh-huh.
right, of the Acropolis, will we have any time at all to look around Athens before the flight out?
No, but the first day you have the whole day. We get in at 10 in the morning.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Okay.
kind of like when we went to Reykjavik, you can
Yep.
do whatever you want with that day. And
Okay.
then, and that was kind of one of the reasons I put the food tour at 4 too, because that'll be a walking tour and we'll see some things and be out. But yeah, if there was something you really wanted to see, or like Plaka is a really cute neighborhood, you could go there and walk around and shop. So no, you have that whole day. I
The
try not to
whole,
schedule that first day just because, we've just come in on a red eye, but
okay. Great.
I had a question. Hi, everyone. The question was, is it gonna be hot, like weather, like how it is there right now?
yeah, that's a good question. So September is better than the summer, and it will be hot, but I'm gonna look up the
And humid, yes?
Yeah, is there
yeah,
humidity?
there is. So it's supposed to be like low 80s, high 70s in that time. That's one of the reasons why I planned it for that time because summer can get really hot. I was there in May last year. Yeah, it says the high is 80, and then in October it's 75, and we're there at the end of September. No rain. And in May, believe it or not, it was too cold to go in the water. So I'm looking forward to the fact that it will be warm and enjoying the beach and the water and such. Any other questions?
Yeah, I had a question about the hotels.
Uh-huh.
So it's been like 20 years since I've been to Europe and I had to bring a converter. Do any of the upscale hotels, do you need converters or do they offer the two different voltages for your stuff or not?
No, you'll need a converter.
Okay.
Actually, we'll give everybody a converter. I've done that for the last 2 trips.
Oh,
But if you will plan to bring curling irons or hair dryers, they won't work with just a converter. You either need a dual voltage one or a European one or yeah, you need one of those.
I
You
think,
will have hair dryers
yeah,
everywhere, so you don't need to worry about that.
I
It's
saw that.
just,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Okay,
if
that's
you
the only
needed
thing I was worried about. Okay.
yeah, but if you want a straightener or a curling iron, like I travel enough that I actually have a European one because it's easier to just bring that.
Yeah, and then so the converter will work for the like phone chargers. It won't
Yep.
fry your phone.
Yep. I think it's easiest to take that converter that I have that I'll give you and plug a little strip plug into it. And
Oh,
that way you've got, especially if it has USB ports, then you have multiple USB ports, multiple plugs, but you're only plugging one thing into the.
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool. Thank you.
Mhm. And they take credit cards very widely. The currency's euro. And we'll go over tips when we get right. We'll have another meeting right before the trip. But what most people do is just go to the ATM right there in the airport and pull out cash at that point. Their credit cards are pretty common there.
So,
Okay. Uh-huh.
Kelly, so
Yes.
you've been to everywhere we are going?
No.
No.
No, that's why we're doing the Ionian Islands.
Okay.
Because I like to go new places, and everybody wanted to go to Greece, and I'd been, but I thought, and I love it, but I was like, okay, well, then we'll just go to some new islands. So, yeah, these are islands I've sent people to, but I haven't been myself. I have been to Athens and to Mykonos and to Santorini, but I haven't been to Kefalonia or Zakynthos.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelly, I have a question. If I wanted to stay in Athens overnight, on the return and fly out Monday morning,
Mhm.
can you provide an option or suggestions for a hotel? Probably
Oh, yeah.
right at the airport, but
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not hard.
okay.
It turns out I've done that before.
So the timing for me isn't perfect, but the trip sounds very amazing. And And one of my favorite things it turned out about Iceland, even though everything about Iceland was great, was the people. And so I'm wondering how many of the returnees are going on the trip.
So of the 15 people booked, 10 went to Iceland and 5 are new.
Okay.
And you're not one of those 10.
It sounds like an amazing trip. Wow.
Yeah.
And I like that you plan downtime, actually, like a little bit in, like every place has a little bit of downtime. That sounds really
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
there'll be
needed
time
it.
to be off you know, on your own or with your roommate or in small groups or whatever. Which, like I said, I kind of anticipate we'll need to in the evening because I don't think we can all just ascend in a restaurant. And Iceland, we were all staying, both Iceland and Ireland. Iceland, we changed into little country inns every night and just ate there, so that worked, and they could accommodate us. And then Ireland, we were staying in castles and it actually came with the dinners because you couldn't just like hop into town. So I haven't had to worry about that as much as here where we'll be on our own a little more for the dinners. So I kind of, you know, predict that we will end up in groups. Plus if, you know, if you've been off doing something different that day, I don't know when you're going to eat or, you know, be
Yeah,
back or whatever.
exactly. Yep.
But it is a mixture. And we have 10 minutes. That's the nature of Greece too. I mean, that's why this trip is all well, the initial 7-day trip is all booked through the same company. But it's not like Iceland and Ireland where we had one guide and he was with us or she was with us all the time. This is everything's booked and included and you know one by one place. But we have tour guides each of the tours, obviously. We have transfer drivers, but there's not like one person with us the whole time. But that's not really the way Greece is. You know, it's beachy and shopping and dining. You want that time with the mixture, which is what I like of some of the more active things like the e-bikes and swimming and snorkeling and that kind of thing.
How many of the people of the 15 that you have right now are also taking the extension?
I had 12 extension spots and I think I have 5 left. So 7?
Oh, good.
Yeah. I had to add a to that too, actually.
And the Blue Clay Caves are like an iconic, amazing thing to
Yeah.
do in the world. Like, I've never done it, but I know it's like a once in a lifetime thing to do.
You
Yeah,
gotta come. You're coming.
I
You're
don't know. The
coming.
timing for me is not good. I shouldn't have come to this Zoom. Oh.
I thought you were going to say you should have gone to Iceland, but I was going to say, look, it all worked out.
No, I
Right?
loved going to Iceland and I should not have come to this Zoom because between the trip and the people, that was like weirdly the best part, as amazing as Iceland was, but the people were amazing.
So,
I think we need to go back to Iceland.
yeah, you know what? We'll have a new,
You do that
we'll have the
too.
same experience somewhere new. Yeah, I have 7
Right.
people booked on the extension.
Yeah.
So, half of the people so far. I didn't know what to expect with that because it is, you know, it is going to be a long trip. This is one day. We have 7 minutes left. This is one day longer. Well, actually, technically it's one night longer than Iceland, but we all added that one night in Reykjavik, so that was 7 nights. And then you know, my extension in Iceland, the original trip was 6 nights and extension 1 night, and this trip is 7 nights and extension is 4 nights. So it's a pretty long trip.
Kelly, are any of the folks from Ireland coming on this
No,
trip?
not that I know of. I think most people, which is understandable, kind of think once a year is good. So all of you that went to Iceland wanted to be in Greece, and then you know Ireland, they just went. So there's a few people that are talking about it. One of my friends would really like to go, but she's like, I don't have that much time off work, which is obviously understandable.
Kelly, do you suggest carry on for this trip?
I think most people will not do carry on, so I always suggest carry on. However, we're going to be waiting for everyone else to get their luggage anyway. Like personally, it saves time, you know, if you don't
Yeah,
have
and the
have
fare.
it. Yeah. Well, what I will say though, yeah, it's a good point when you talk about carry-on. You have to get that luggage yourself onto the ferry, and you have to get it yourself onto these like shelves that they have. Now, luckily I'm tall, but when I did it, I was kind of in the back of the pack and I had to put it up on the upper shelf myself. So we'll all be there together, but obviously things like getting off and on the ferries will be easier if you have lighter luggage. So luckily, the other difference about this, if you can get away with the lighter bag, is in Iceland we needed so much heavy, thick stuff. We needed boots and parkas and stuff. And you can wear lighter clothes in
Yeah.
Greece.
True.
They're smaller.
Okay, I have a question for the evening time. I know that we're
Uh-huh.
probably not all going to be together, but there's got to be times when we can go to a taverna in the
Oh, for
evening
sure.
to
Yeah. Well,
enjoy the music and the
yeah. And
entertainment.
what I did in Ireland, even though dinners were included, is every night I found a different uh now that you said Taverna, I can't get the pub in that we went to. And now I had kind of plotted that and told everybody, like this is the option for tonight. So, a lot of the people did, not everybody did, but it just gave you the option. One night we stayed at the castle. They were having sing song, their version of sing along. It was a
Love
piano
it.
bar. I loved it. I was like, I'm in a castle singing sing song. It's like they know me. But yeah, I kind of did a little pre-plotting what, might work. So
Okay, good.
I imagine that there will be some of that.
I have a question too.
Yeah.
I was wondering, how in Iceland it was a lot of snacks and we didn't really know if we were gonna eat in a restaurant. So are we gonna have, I just wondered what would be different. I know, well, because then I would load up on snacks and then we'd eat it. Is it gonna
Yeah, I mean, that was
be
different
more
because every day we
our,
were out on the road, and so we would stop at the local,
yeah,
basically cafe slash gas station. Yeah, that was very different. This, several of the tours do include lunch, but the days you're on your own, it'll kind of depend what you do. But the restaurants have hotels, and we're always within walking distance of things. So, and breakfast is always included, so that you won't have to think too much about. And I'll probably look at that a little more closely too and just kind of figure out. I don't want people wondering when and how they're going to eat. But the days we have tours planned, lunch is part of the plan. It's the days on your own that you would have to kind of, depends what you choose to do. But even then, it won't be too hard because I'm pretty sure the bike tour includes lunch. And if you choose that in Kefalonia on the off day, and the beach club has a restaurant there. So be too hard. Okay, we have 3 minutes left. Any other questions?
Bob has made his presence known.
What's Bob gonna do without you,
I have
Marianne?
no idea.
But Bob's the old one. He's right.
He's the older one. Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
a year now. Anyway,
Yeah.
random.
I hate to tell you, but well, maybe you'll be glad to know. I had a great time in Ireland, and that group really gelled well too, and everything was great. But we did not have a theme song.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm picturing something.
You're
fun.
gonna scare some people.
It's a good thing we'll be back. There'll definitely be a theme song.
Yeah.
They'd only be scared if they heard the theme song.
Yes, exactly.
This
Right,
would not
tune up.
wouldn't make sense in Ireland.
Now that's gonna be stuck in our head all.
Sounds great, Kelly.
Oh,
yeah, it
thanks.
sounds wonderful.
Okay, well, we
I'm
only have a couple
excited.
minutes left, so I just want to wrap up, and I think I covered most of what I wanted to say. So yeah, if you're thinking of going, or know someone that's thinking of going, just let them know. I'm actually gone the next 2 weeks, but it's just a matter of signing up on the links, and my office manager is still here, so anybody can sign up. But
Kelly, I have one last question. Is it really specific on the itinerary, like how to, like what flight times and such, like to show up? Okay,
yep, I don't know if you can you still see my screen?
I can, but I don't know if we have access to this. Oh, it's info and documents.
It's on my website, Wanderlust Women, and
Okay.
it's under upcoming trips.
Got it.
And That's our flight off the island. This is where it says suggested AA flight. And then it's, it's a series of 4 flights because it's connecting. Well, I'm sorry, it's a series of 2 flights, but it shows the departure, arrival,
Okay.
and the flight numbers.
Mhm.
Air to Greece isn't cheap. I'm not going to lie. Air anywhere this year is awful, and air to Europe is awful. Every single trip I have planned this summer for Europe has basically been 2K. So when I looked at this a few weeks ago, it was running closer to 1700, which I was happy about. It may go up, it may go down, but it's probably not going to go down any more than that. And it's almost better for you to assume it's going to be closer to 2, and you can be excited if it's less.
Mm.
It's going to be, yeah, more, almost
That's
as
twice as much as Iceland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And Iceland doubled. We have less than a minute, but Iceland doubled in the time that I booked it at around 900, and when I
Yeah.
looked later, it was 1800. So
You're right.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
yeah,
So I was thrilled that you could book it.
yeah,
Wow.
I was glad too.
Because
And I
we told
tried.
everyone how good of a time we had.
I know.
Well, I tried to get group for this and I couldn't. So,
Oh.
anyway, okay, we're about
It's
to
a
lose the
great
Zoom.
trip. Great job. It's
Oh,
a
thank you, Maureen.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and if you don't end up making it, I'm already thinking about next year. So, I'll send out some survey to see where I have ideas, but I want to see what people's top choices are.
Italy.
Italy, yeah, Italy.